Cape Town is famous for its beautiful coastline, much of which is a marine protected area, starting from Molly Point in the city and coming through all the way around Cape Point towards Muizenberg. The protected area is demarcated into two zones: a no-take zone where no extractive activity is allowed, and a control-use zone where some fishing is allowed with the necessary permits. However, all recreational activity is allowed everywhere.
Table Mountain National Park is a really unique national park in that it's got a terrestrial area on the Cape Peninsula, and then it's got the marine protected area surrounding the peninsula, and in between that is a whole city of people as well as many communities that live. So in fact it's actually a city inside a national park. We have a few gates where people need to pay to go in, but the majority of the park is unfenced and people can enter the park at thousands of different places. Just as in the marine area, they can enter from any direction, and that makes it very difficult to manage. You know, we've got 900 kilometers worth of trails in the park. People come in all times of the day and night, and we can't manage them all. So it's again about awareness creation, letting people understand that they're in a protected area and they need to abide by the rules and regulations in order to conserve the nature that they're enjoying. We have our rangers who are patrolling and looking after the conservation side of things. They need to check that anybody who's using the marine resources is doing so sustainably, that they have the correct permits and that they're taking out the right species and right sizes and those kind of things. And then we also have our special operations team who focuses specifically on environmental crimes, where you have the black market operating, and you have the organized crime syndicates that are coming and taking out species like abalone.
What we've been doing basically is we do vehicle, vessel and foot patrols. We've got a coastline of 137 kilometers, and the water area is plus minus 1,000 square kilometers of sea. So on a daily basis, we'll put people out on foot patrol or on vehicle patrol to check maybe anglers on the coastline. If we have vessels on the slipways, then we will send out a vessel patrol to go and check the vessels. We also recently got Robben Island MPA, which is another 680 square kilometers of sea with the Table Mountain National Park Marine Protected Area. We do make use of other resources like other stakeholders, City of Cape Town, DFFE, so that will help a lot. And then we also have the honorary rangers that are trying to get funders to assist us with technology concerns, especially at night with night vision and that kind of things. We can search, confiscate, arrest, we can do all those things. The only thing is that when we do something like that, we need to go to the nearest police station where the incident actually took place.
While rangers take care of the actual physical protection of the marine areas, long-term conservation of these spaces is not viable without the support of local communities and stakeholders.
As a Socioeconomic Transformation Officer, part of our role within the MPA is that we conduct environmental education and awareness. I believe that as SANParks, we cannot be able to say that we are managing the MPA without involving our stakeholders, because I feel it's a joint event that we need to work together. A beach or of the sea, and also it will then bring the conservation stewardship as well into the limelight, wherein communities then can value why conservation is so important if they understand in terms of the type of work that we do in the park. So we have a program which we call it our bus program, and through this bus program, Table Mountain has a 60-seater bus wherein either through the communities approaching us and wanting for us to do an environmental activity or program with them, or we go into the communities and we bring them into the park. So you find that we have them come into the park, they go to Boulder's Penguin Colony, they also go to Cape Point, wherein for some of the community members you find that both youth as well as older ones, it's actually their first time seeing a live penguin. So you can just imagine the impact that such programs have.
The African penguin's a great example of how we need to so carefully balance the needs of people and the needs of the environment. The main threat for the African penguin is actually their food resources. They feed on sardines and anchovies, which is also the major target for commercial fishers as well as the subsistence fishers, or small-scale fishers as they're called. So it's really a matter of trying to balance those needs.
So we work a lot with the local leaders within the community. We also work with the small-scale fishermen within the communities. They are part of our stakeholders. And quite recently, we also started working hand in hand with some of the traditional healers that you find around the Cape Town metropole. And they also have an interest with regard to some of the activities that happen within the marine protected area. Youth as well is one of those components that we are also trying to engage, so that they can be part of the solutions when we speak about challenges that we are facing.
With poaching being a big threat, youth in local communities are also becoming a target, endangering their future, and SANParks hopes to change that.
In some of the communities, you find that they are targeting youth in order for them, to collect some of the poached species, so that because if they are caught as younger kids, then they are more lenient on them as opposed to somebody who's older. So then that means that those youth are then now seeing poaching as a way of life. So it's something that even the community members themselves are quite worried about. And I'm quite glad that with the type of relationship that we have with the different stakeholders within the communities, we are working to address that. Like currently right now, as SANParks as a whole, we have a national program which is the marine economy. And that program now, it's more focused on ensuring that we go into communities that are staying adjacent to marine protected areas, do a needs analysis and find out what is it that the park needs to be able to meet halfway with the communities so that they could be able to sustain their livelihoods. Another favorite one is SANParks Week, wherein we allow communities to enter the park for free every year in September. For me, I've seen that it's had a huge impact, because now you see that people not only now require our services, but they're bringing in their families, they're bringing in their own vehicles, so they can have a chance to go and visit the protected areas such as your Cape Point. So that has had a big impact. And I see that it's something that needs to be continuous, because I still feel that although we've had this big impact, there's still more reach that we can do.
Some of the other challenges in the marine protected area are pollution, as well as prospecting or mining. And then there's a big push towards things like oil drilling for gas in the oceans. And those are activities which can have a huge impact on the oceans.
And in order to ensure that the best areas are chosen for marine protection and preserved for the benefit of everyone, SANParks also has a strong science arm.
So I'm a marine biologist focused on science and in scientific services, which is a specialized division in SANParks. And essentially what it is, it's to use science and evidence to inform decision making and management. We want to use the best available evidence to manage and enhance marine protected area management. When it comes to our marine protected areas, starting at the foundation, we really need to know what we have, what it is we're trying to conserve. And so we conduct research and monitoring, and we also facilitate external research and monitoring to essentially make recommendations around conservation and what we need to protect and how the best ways are to do that, what management actions we can actually recommend based on the foundational knowledge. But then, it's one thing collecting that data and analyzing that data. We also need to evaluate it, and then we also need to make it accessible so that it can be used in decision making and in policies. And essentially that's our job as scientists in the SANParks. We kind of straddle the space of science management, and we really work with a diverse range of stakeholders to make sure that we use the best available evidence to manage our marine protected areas, to understand the benefits that we get from marine protected areas, and essentially how to conserve biodiversity and better understand socioeconomics that is happening in the MPA. scientists and biotechnicians in SANParks, essentially we work with our managers, with our stakeholders, with our rangers on the ground to bring everybody together. And we use this information across the different platforms. One of the platforms is in co-developing marine protected area management plans. This is the blueprint of how this protected area will be managed in the future. What do we need to focus on? Scientists help with that. There's a lot of assessment tools that we need to have evidence for and to basically base our decision making on and justify decision making in protected areas to enhance them. And then another thing that we do is we work with a range of stakeholders. We represent SANParks in national and international forums where, we do biodiversity assessments, we ensure that management is sustainable. And essentially what we do is we evaluate conservation actions and continuously we learn and we adapt and we learn and we adapt. And it's only that way can we, by learning and adapting, can we really manage the area in the most effective way.
The marine protected areas are crucial for conserving the biodiversity and the marine environment and supporting the long-term health of the ocean ecosystem in and around Cape Town. Because at the end of the day, human health, culture, tradition, prosperity is directly linked to the health of the oceans.